welcome. I'd like to call this Finance Committee meeting to order. The first item we have is assignment for request for council action. We have several for the Finance Committee. 25-126 budget amendments, 25-127 advance request, 25-128 advance request, 25-129 transfer request for cable TV fund, 25-130 partnership agreement fiscal year 25 CHIP program, 25-131 expenditure for a new vendor, Harold E. Schuler Law Department, 25-132 expenditure Central Square Police Department, 25-133 authorized mayor to endorse insurance check grants, 25-134 purchase 2025 Freightliner sanitation truck, and 25-135 2026 tax budget. First item we have is 25-126, which are budget amendments. We have 23 for the police department. Keith?
Thank you. So when a purchase order carries over a year end, it brings the appropriation with it. And that's what happened with this one, but the invoice came so late that in the meantime, the purchase order had been closed because we didn't know there were any invoices out there. And then when the invoice came in, we didn't have that purchase order anymore and we need that appropriation replaced.
Okay.
Move to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. 25-24 police donation check. Chief?
That's just a donation that we're requesting for appropriation. Thanks.
Move to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 25-127 advance request for OPWC loan. Keith?
So this is our typical process when we get a grant. We advance the money to the fund, spend the money, and then once the money's been spent, we'll submit to get it paid by the grantor, and then we'll repay the advance.
Move to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 25-128 advance request bond anticipation notes. Keith?
This is the advances for the bond anticipation notes that we discussed previously. It's $3 million that is a bond anticipation note from general purpose capital to the, from the general fund to the general purpose capital fund, and then $5 million from police special to court special projects. I know Ed isn't thrilled with this, so I do want to explain. It's in advance. It has to be repaid. Typically, the state auditor will not permit you to do an advance unless you could have done a transfer. In this case, this is not something that we could legally do as a transfer. They allow it because of the bond anticipation note, which memorializes that it has to be paid back. It does have to be paid back because if we didn't, that would be a violation. We would be transferring money out of that fund. So it will be paid back. It has to be paid back. And if police need this money for whatever purpose they would like to get it, we could get this money gathered up from somewhere else.
Mayor?
I'd just like to offer, I chatted a little bit with Keith and with the chief, because I know when Patrick gets the request in, we're doing an overall facility study for both the city hall and the police that we've talked about with council. And if a new police department would be something in the future, we would likely pull bonds for that anyway, so that the police department could be reimbursed and then the building paid for with the bonds, or a combination of the two. So I just know that I, in my current position as safety director and the chief, just needed some assurance that if a police department is recommended and authorized by council, that wouldn't be a detriment by giving this loan for the purpose that we're doing here.
No. That makes sense. Any questions?
No. Move to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 25-129 transfer request for cable TV fund. Keith?
This started a year or two ago. You wanted to put the reconciling amount that we get from Rita every year into the cable TV fund, because the cable TV fund revenues, after years and years and years of increasing every year as there were more subscribers, a few years ago that flipped and started to decrease as there are more and more cord cutters. So in order to keep this fund solvent, this was kind of the solution that we came up with. This is the reconciliation amount from Rita less the 20% that is required to go to the 108 fund.
So it's 288,884? All right. Any questions?
Move to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 25-130 partnership agreement fiscal year 25 CHIP program. Barbara?
You might remember in March, you did agree to partner with the county and Brunswick and Wadsworth We had applied for PY '24, didn't get it, so this was an opportunity to go in with the county. Now we're asking that you approve the mayor authorizing the mayor to sign the agreement. And the good news is that the amount of money that we'll get is almost the same as if we had applied separately.
Any emergency clauses requested?
Yes, because the application has to be in Columbus by the 25th, and you don't meet again until the 23rd. And that would be cutting it close for the,
Okay. Any questions?
Move to approve with the emergency clause. Second, including the emergency clause.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 25-131 expenditure for a new vendor for Harold E. Schuler for the law department. Greg?
Mr. Schuler is a forensic toxicologist, and we need to hire him to prepare expert reports and expert testimony on a couple of cases that we're handling. We have typically used a gentleman named Steve Perch, but he was worked in the coroner's office in Summit County, but he's retired and not doing it anymore, so we need a new PO with a new person.
Okay, questions?
Move to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 25-132 expenditure for Central Square Police Department. Chief?
Thank you, Mr. President. This is our annual maintenance subscription for our CAD RMS software.
Okay.
Move to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 25-133 authorize mayor to endorse insurance check for the CHIP grant. Barbara?
we have an unfortunate situation where one of our 2018 CHIP clients had a fire at their house, and because that was a rehab project, we have a lien on that property, and so the State Farm is issuing a check made out to the homeowner and the city. So we're asking that the mayor be able to sign that check, endorse it.
And is the money going to be used to fix the house? Because if you're giving it to the owner,
These are payments now, these are payments to the owner to pay the contractor.
and how do we ensure that that happens?
The fire?
No,
Or
that the money that's going to the homeowner then gets used to pay the contractor. Do we have any kind of mechanism in place to ensure that the money does
Well,
go to the
I
contractor?
did talk to the State Farm insurance person. He seemed comfortable with it.
All you gotta do is ask Mr. Huber. Are you
Well,
comfortable with that, Mr. Huber?
Barbara, I think is the house inhabitable without doing these repairs? Or habitable?
I believe the repairs have been done.
Oh.
and
So
they're-
this is
they're
just the
back in
insurance
the
catching
house.
up with it?
Yeah,
Oh, okay, okay. That makes more sense.
yes.
Because I was just concerned,
Oh, yes.
right,
No,
we don't want to
that-
lose the money.
It's been done.
Okay.
Move to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. 25-134, purchase of a 2025 sanitation truck. Mr. Bacoli.
Thank you, Mr. President. We talked about this during the sanitation budget in the spring. The two superintendents, John Leniger and Scott Pito from Vehicle Maintenance, really scrutinized this vehicle and appreciate the council letting us become a member of HGAC Buy. It's already proving to be a savings. So this purchase is $255,114. The prices we were getting from the regular quotes we would receive for a rear loader around $315,000. So this is already a savings. And back to the supervisor scrutinizing the spec and the cut sheet, several items to note that the hopper body's thicker steel, and that seems to be what's been going out as of recent in the 7 to 8 year old trucks that usually would last 10 or 12 years. The transmission is a Allison 3000, which doesn't mean a whole lot to me, but it's a scaled down, still powerful enough to handle the loads that they haul. So this is a 25 cubic yard vehicle, full unit, high compaction. There are 5 of them in Mississippi. And again, this HGAC National Purchasing Program is proving to be what we were hopeful of. So thank you for the consideration.
Thank you. Any questions?
Move to approve. Emergency clauses requested.
No, you're in the wrong one.
Next one is emergency. Never mind.
No, yeah. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. And 25-135, a 2026 tax budget. Keith?
Thank you, Mr. President. I update, the only part of this that's used is the revenue estimate portion of it, and I update that as we go along, but I want to have the June RETA income tax to make that update before we actually put it together. And then we have to submit it to the county in July, so the emergency clauses, because we have to submit it in July.
Questions?
Move to approve with the emergency clause.
Second, including the emergency clause.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Is there anything else to come before finance this evening?
Well, that's pretty quick.
If not, meeting's adjourned, and I think we have pictures.